Welcome to my first draft for Xtremetrades.co.uk. I've got a pretty spicy pack for a first draft here. A few options. We can either try and force infect and go with a cyst bearer or the grafted exoskeleton. If we're going to go for one of those, we go for the cyst bearer. Or we can take the tempered steel. I'm not actually that big a fan of white in this format, and I actually much prefer the poison deck. So even though cyst bearer is a weaker card, I'd much rather have the person on our left cemented into white and force poison. It's something I've been having most of my success with. So I'm going to take the cyst bearer here and really hope to put the person on our left into white with the tempered steel. So continuing putting them into white, there's some spicy white cards here. There's the Argentum Armor, which I'm not that big a fan of. It's pretty slow, although it is a bomb if you can ever get it down. I'm going to take the Blight Member here. It's a poison guy. Poison is quite good. Maybe we will proliferate. Green-blue poison is something that I'm not averse to. Yeah, I'm quite happy to put the person on the left further into white. I'm not a big fan of white in the format. So yeah, continue with poison. Here we go. So, in terms of poison, there's basically only the Bellowing Tangleworm, which is pretty decent if you're in a poison strategy. There's more white cards in here. Limengrid Drake is something that isn't terrible, but I'm happy to take the Tangleworm here. It's a pretty good beater, and giving all of our guys Intimidate is pretty strong. So there's a couple of really good cards for the Infect deck here. We've got the Heavy Arbalist, which I'm a big fan of, and also the Tumble Magnet. I think I'm a huge fan of Tumble Magnet. I think I'm actually going to take Heavy Arbalist here, though. Personally, I really like having the inevitability that it comes. You can probably pick up one Tumble Magnet at some point in the future, but Heavy Arbalist, basically, if you resolve it and get it equipped with a poison guy, it's really hard for you to lose from that situation. So I'm going to take the Heavy Arbalist here. Maybe we will the Blackcleave Goblin, something that isn't horrendous. But yeah, pretty happy with the Arbalest here. And speaking of Tumble Magnets, there's one right here. Question is, do we take it over the Telgelad Fallen? I'm not really looking at the Fume Spitter, as we're not necessarily committed to black, and really prefer these two cards in the deck. I think I'd rather have the Telgelad Fallen than the Tumble Magnet. Just getting enough poison guys is usually the way that you win, and while Tumble Magnet can be really strong, I think I'd rather have the Fallen. Even it's not the best, but I like to have the Fallen in my Infect deck. So here we've got a couple of options. No actual poison cards for us. There's a Soliton, which will go really well with our Heavy Arbalist if we want to take down some creatures. We've got a Molder Beast, which is pretty good in the Infect deck if you can pick up a Tainted Strike. We've got Trigon of Thought, which is again something that it's not amazing, but can just allow you to grind out some of the games that you need to. I think we're going to take the Soliton here. The interaction with the Arbalist is pretty good, and I'd rather have it than the Trigon. So we've got two pieces of equipment here. We've got the Bladed Pinions and the Accorder Shield. I think I'm most likely to take the Bladed Pinions. It's something that's really strong if you can put it on a Cyst Bearer, for example. And First Strike, it's so good with Infect. It basically means, like with the Cyst Bearer, they have to be minimum 5 power if they even want to trade. Or well, not trade, but if they want to actually kill the Cyst Bearer. So Bladed Pinions is really strong. I'm going to take the foil. I like foils. So here we've got like the worst Infect guy, but pretty much still an Infect guy. I'm quite happy to take it. I mean, if we end up in black, it might make the cuts like the 24th card, so I'd rather not play it. I mean, Lifesmith isn't the worst. It's decent beater, even if it isn't an Infect guy. I think I'd rather have it than the Reaver, although the Proliferate... Actually, I know I'm going to take the Steady Progress here. Given that we might want to be in blue for the Soliton, Steady Progress is something that is quite good. And I'm happy to take another Steady Progress here. it's really strong. I mean, if we do manage to pick up another Temple Magnet, I've passed up 2 already, but for the Arbalest and for the Telgelad Fallen, but he can be really powerful. And none of these cards are going to make our deck. The Wayfarer is going to be the one that's most annoying for us to play against. Again, most annoying for us to play against is the Soul Parry. Withstand Death might make the deck, although I'd rather it didn't. And Painful Quandary is a rare. So just quick sort by cost. Deck's looking okay. Green-blue isn't the worst colour combination for Infect, but if we pick up some good black cards, I'm going to have to play that. So, a few choices here. We've got the Steel Hellkite, which is an absolute beating if you can get it down. We've got Plague Stinger, which is good. Arc Trail, which can be really devastating, although we're not in red whatsoever. For me, basically, the choice comes down to Steel Hellkite or Plague Stinger. The annoying thing is that we have to make this choice for a start. I think I'm actually going to take the Plague Stinger here. If we get any equipment, I'd rather have the Stinger. And Steel Hellkite, I'd rather we kill them before anyone ever gets to resolve it. I'm unhappy at having to pass the Steel Hellkite, but Plague Stinger is basically the best common Infect guy, and it is something that we really want for this deck. So I'm going to take the Plague Stinger. If we do end up playing the Plague Stinger, it basically means that the steady progresses aren't going to be making the deck. But looking at this pack, I'm quite happy with that. It basically comes down to either Grasp of Darkness or Icarats. I think Icarats is really underrated, and I'd rather have it than the Grasp of Darkness, which can occasionally be a bit heavy on the colour requirements to be played out early, whereas the Icarats is always going to be good. I'd definitely take it over the Icaclaw Mare. I'm quite happy to add it to our pile. If we're lucky, we maybe get the Horizon Spellbomb to table, which would be quite nice. I'm pretty sure the Icaclaw Mare isn't going to table though. So I'll have the Icarats here, and that's quite nice for us. So here we've got Corpse Cur or Grafted Exoskeleton. Pretty sure we're going to take the Corpse Cur here. It's one of the cards I really look for, and Grafted Exoskeleton, isn't that powerful unless you've got a lot of non-infect guys, and at the moment the only two we have got Soliton and Bellowing Tangleworm. I mean, obviously the interaction with Soliton, Heavy Arbalest and Grafted Exoskeleton is really nice, but I think I'd rather have the Corpse Cur, which gives us some late game and is, obviously great for card advantage. Really happy to get another Plague Stinger here. It's going to look really good in our deck. Passing Icaclaw Mare, but basically for Plague Stinger. I mean, we're really looking for a Silvok Lifestaff at this point, but Plague Stinger, really happy for us to be playing it. And we've got a Tangle Angler, which is excellent. Tangle Angler is pretty much the best common or uncommon Infect guy. Really happy to get it. Presumably means we're in the right seat. Annoying that there's a Telgelad Fallen and an Asceticism here, but Tangle Angler is excellent. So there are no Infect cards for us here. Choice is basically between Nil Spellbomb and Acid Web Spider. And both of these cards are fairly decent. Acid Web Spider can be really useful. I think I'd rather have it than Spellbomb. We'll probably pick up a Spellbomb if we really need one at some point later. But Acid Web Spider can just be a monster. They've got a really good piece of equipment. We know there's an Argentum Armor out there, for example. It'd be quite nice to be able to take care of that really easily. Choice here is between Blight Member and Untamed Might. Given that we've already got 2 Plague Stingers, I quite want the Untamed Might. Blight Member is less important, I think, and I'd like to have at least 1 Untamed Might in the deck. Seems to be just quite nice, as is the other Acid Web Spider, but given we're solid Infect, Untamed Might's really good. And there's a Blackcleave Goblin. It's got Infect. I'd rather not be playing it, but it's better than all of these other cards. Blight Members come round. That's pretty good news for us. None of these other cards say Infect on them. So we're going to be taking the Blight Member. So none of the Infect cards from this pack came round, which is, I guess, to be expected. Disperse is a bit annoying. Exsanguinate is basically useless for us, so I guess we take Disperse. We're not going to be playing it, so we're not going to be playing any of these cards. Actually, the Xtremetrades might see play against us. That's probably going to be more annoying. We'll take that. Hate draft. We're not going to be playing any of these cards. This one's might cause the most trouble, plus it's a rare. None of these cards are going to be seen play in our deck. CC Initiative is occasionally playable. So our deck's not looking too bad. We could really do with a Silver Clivestaff or ideally a Darksteel Axe. I think we made the right choice passing the Steel Hellkite for the Plague Stinger. It set us up into a really solid Infect deck, and the second Plague Stinger we got was really rounded it out quite nicely. It's looking good so far. Hopefully get a nice saucy piece of equipment in this pack that can power up our guys, and we'll be well on our way to having a really good Infect deck.